Episode 30. Can't believe it. Oh yeah, folks. Welcome to the evening hour. It's live right now. Here we go. All right. Come on in. Gonna light some. Here we go, folks. We start right now. Time for some vinyl. Yes. Where's my tape? There we go. Vinyl time. Yes. All right, people, come on in. I see Jason, William, Voider Shark, Ashworth, Amanda. Good evening. Yes, it's time to have some fun. I think tonight's going to be a good one. I can tell when they're going to be good because of the subject and the fact that I didn't prepare. I'm just going to let it out of my head. Those are the ones that sometimes are better. In the meantime, I am going to turn that off. And I'm also... Why are the lights flickering? If this feed goes off, which it did in the last two shows, and I think they were both weather, but who the heck knows? If they go off, give it 5 minutes. I have to reboot everything. If that doesn't work, go to Instagram. I'll be on there live doing this. I'll finish it there. So, like, if the show is, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through, I probably won't do the Instagram. But just in case, if it's an important episode, yes, I will go finish it on Instagram. Cool. Wow. Oh, wow. I love this. We're going to have a good show tonight. Might be a little controversial for some. I try to save the controversial episodes for Behind the Devil's Curtain. But tonight, I'm getting ready for my episode that's on Friday. Folks, this is what it is on Friday. Bada bing, bada boom. Behind the Devil's Curtain, episode 8. Warlord Moses. The reason why it's going to be slightly controversial for some is I'm going to come from the point of view of an atheist point of view, assuming that it's mythology, knowing that it's mythology, and taking it as a philosophy and criticizing it as such. Some people don't like that. They immediately try to spin it into some sort of identity thing. It's not what it is. I'm just criticizing philosophy. Hold on, let me check my... Oh yeah, my little incense burner here is almost fired up. Look at this. Check this out. I'm addicted to these things. Okay. I'm going to turn it on in a second. Only one of them's working. Look, I added a little wrestler. Look at my little wrestler buddy. Look at that. Look at the smoke rolling down the... Look at that. Is it just me, or isn't that just off the charts? Look at that. I mean, it is the dumbest thing in the world. Anywho. Yeah, Friday's going to be fun. So, what else? Oh, yeah. If you're new, subscribe, hit the notify. I hate saying it every time, but I do have a few new followers. I'm pushing towards that 1,000 mark. I really need to get there. And when I hit 666 subscribers, I'm going to do a special episode and have a contest. Yeah. That's happening. I've also been working on new episodes. I just had an idea. Well, we'll get to that later. What else? I've been dungeon mastering a lot more again. I'm back in the saddle. I've got 2 dungeon master groups that I run. I got a group of kids and I got a group of adults. Both are awesome. I love doing it. I dungeon master about 8 hours a week. About. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that. What else? Oh, yeah. A lot of people have been asking me my thoughts on the Marilyn Manson accusation. First and foremost, I am not a fan of his music at all. I never liked it. Not one song I ever heard once. Even back in the day. When he was getting famous, there was so many other bands I was into, and I wasn't a fan of his singing style, and I wasn't a fan of 90s goth. Didn't do it for me. It makes me think of those baggy jeans that were popular that I also didn't like. I don't know. And I've seen him live. Yeah, great, whatever. But that's not what's the point. He's been accused of doing something terrible. My thoughts are, I don't have any thoughts on it other than if he did, that's great. Nail him, bust him. But I don't think it's not been proven yet. Maybe it has. Maybe there's a million people saying I didn't read his book. I heard in his book he says some bad stuff. I will say, I've heard him speak about lots of subjects, and he sounds like a pretty smart dude. He also, I loved what he said in Bowling for Columbine, like stuff like that. I really think he's smart. But other than that, I love it. Somebody put Marilyn Manson in Junko jeans. I don't even know what they're called. Suck. I agree. I hate baggy jeans. I like tight pants. Anywho, yeah, I could care less about his music or him for that matter. Oh, here we go. Now it's cooking. Both are cooking now. Look at that. It's ridiculous. So that's my thoughts. If he's guilty, then yeah, let's press charges here. Unfortunately, if it's true that he got in this chick's head and did something to her, that sucks. But she has to go to the police too. You know, you have to do everything. You know, so hopefully he gets caught and in trouble and prosecuted in the whole 9 yards if it's true. If not, I don't know. I saw his record label dumped him already, and I don't think that's cool. If it's, you know, I think they should wait and see what the courts say. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. I hope he figures out his stuff, and if he is guilty, then I hope he gets what he deserves. And that's what I have to say about Marilyn Manson. Other than that, yeah, let's get into this. Oh, yeah. One more thing. I just wanted to go over a couple little bits. Again, dude, Seneca. If you like to read about philosophy, check out Seneca. If you don't like philosophy, or you don't know much about it, or you think it's probably really boring, I'm telling you, some of these guys are off the charts, and I'm losing it. This is a really thick book. It's called Seneca's Letters from a Stoic. It's the Dover Thrift Edition. This book is like $6. Is it $6? It says 10 here, but on Amazon it was 6. Letter 45. It's called On Sophistical Augmentation. Okay? One quote I got from there today. It's something again, some of these things I've thought about, but he just writes it out plain and clear. Here it is. How closely flattery resembles friendship. It not only apes friendship, but it outdoes it, passing it in the race. With wide open and indulgent ears, it is welcomed and sinks to the depths of the heart. And it's pleasing precisely wherein it does harm. I mean, this is very powerful. How closely flattery resembles friendship. Yeah, think about that. I've known a few people over my life that literally have a system of where they wake up in the morning and they go from one butt kisser to the next in a sequence throughout the day. And then they go to bed. And then they wake up and they repeat it. Now, the thing about this is when I first noticed that when I was younger, like, wow, that person literally wakes up and goes to that fluffer, and then to this person that fluffs their ego, and to that, like, one after another, right? When I first noticed that, hold on, is it looking epic? Look at that. Epic, epic, epic. I noticed that they were doing that. I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. I also noticed any negative things they reacted really violently to or changed course quick. That flattery now, that type of flattery, right? Now it happens online. All day. Multiple times in a minute. It's kind of weird. If somebody wants their ego fluff now, all they need to do is do the internet, right? So it's interesting. But flattery does resemble friendship. It creates a positive chemical release. But this is why this is interesting. It says it passes it in the race. That's the key phrase here. How closely flattery resembles friendship. It not only apes friendship, but outdoes it, passing it in the race. So on its surface, it looks better than friendship. It's way better. How many people do we know ditch their real friends for the fake friends? Why? Because of that. That's so common. So yeah, and then here it goes right in. It sinks to the depths of the heart, and it is pleasing precisely wherein it does harm. So it goes right into this like emotional heart, meaning emotions is how I'll interpret heart. It goes right into your gut of what your feelings are for that time, and it feels so good, but that's why it hurts. That's why the damage comes. So, and then check this out. On the weekend, I got to finally go to a bookstore. I haven't been to a bookstore in, my God. Well, I've been to a few? I've been to a couple, but not any big ones. So I finally got to go to a Barnes & Noble's in Connecticut, where things are sort of back to normal. And with Voider Shark, if you're watching. And I was very sad that their philosophy section was small. I wanted to go and look and see what editions they had and the translations and stuff. And I found this. But, oh wait, the camera's backwards. I just realized the camera's backwards. And you know what? I'm not going to flip it because I don't want to cause any problems. Wait, should I flip it? Oh, I'm so nervous. No, I'm not going to flip it because we're on live. So this is a Mr. Rogers and Philosophy book. I never knew about this. It came out, I don't know, not that long ago maybe. And it's a series called Popular Culture and Philosophy. And it looks like, my God, there are volumes, my God, there's 130 volumes of this. So basically it's a bunch of essays compiled where they incorporate some sort of pop culture thing and tie it to a philosophy. And Fred Rogers is probably one of the better subjects for this. I was looking in here and it was like, you know, the philosophy of the Simpsons, some of it was, you know, Orange is the New Black. You know, there's like modern shows. But Mr. Rogers was a philosopher. He was. I mean, really, he thought about our reality. He did. And he asked questions, and when he didn't have an answer, he said he was pretty honest of a guy. He always told the truth. That was one of the things about Fred Rogers I think I missed when I did my episode about him is he always felt like, why would you hide things from kids? Just tell them the truth. If it's good for them, then why would you hide it from them? And I always felt the same with my kids. I never hid anything from them. If it was okay, it was okay. And if it wasn't okay, maybe I should re-examine it. That's how I've handled it. So on the note of philosophy and asking questions, let's get into this show. Anybody in here? Let's see. Oh, we got a nice group in here tonight. Thank you. I am very flattered that I have a steady audience now. I'm going to be honest. Anybody in here that's new, hit that subscribe and notify. I don't want you to miss the live content. This is all about the live. I like the live vibe. I'm better live. I don't know. That's how I roll. And I like that it's interactive. I like this chat going on. So if you've got chatty chat or questions, thoughts, or ideas, throw them out. Also, not throw them out into the box. Not throw them out in the garbage. And for the donors, folks, my main donation I ask of everybody is just subscribe and notify and all that jazz. But if you are the type that likes to throw a little dough to the shows you like, there's the link. You got to type it. Why? I don't have 1,000 subscribers. So, yeah, anything you donate goes right in the damn show. All of it. I'm working on the camera, and I'm getting very close to getting one. Yeah, we got Dallas in here. Come on in, people. What else? So my show tonight, the title of the show tonight, Sunday School Woke My Demon. And I was sitting last night thinking of what to title, and I was like, okay, first of all, I wanted a show that leads into Friday. Friday's show is called, well, here, I'll show you the cute picture I made. Bada bing. No, not that. This. Warlord Moses. So tonight's episode, I wanted it to lead into, and I was like, well, what made me want to study the Bible so detailed? What was it? Why would I want to do an episode on the bad stuff in the Old Testament, to be quite frank? Because that's what it's about. It's about the morality in the Old Testament that billions of people hold dear to their heart that I find a serious flaw in. And I'm I'm not shocked. Some of the new movements that have come about, like the Me Too movements and the BLM movements and all of the movements, you know, people are getting, people are tired of the way things are and are standing up and saying, hey, we want it better. I'm waiting, and I've been waiting for people to point out, especially in the BLM movement, that a lot of the problems they're voicing start with some of these doctrines. And it comes down to, well, you're translating it wrong. Or, oh no, that's not what it really is. Or, oh, well, most people don't take it literally. Or do they? And so it does a lot in here to me. Makes my questions go. So where did it start? Well, I mean, I told my mom tonight might be the one she doesn't want to watch. She doesn't like it when I go off on the religious stuff. Even though I would say she's not even that religious. Right, Mom? If you're watching, you're not really religious. A little bit. She was just raised in a time where the indoctrination of it all was pretty all-consuming. So you didn't really have a chance to get around the edges. It was just the way it is for a lot of people, especially that generation. Like, look at our grandparents' generation. How many people in their circle were atheists? Or witches? Or occultists? They were around, but it was very different. So as a little kid, I remember being told God was real, Jesus was real. We didn't really talk about other religions. We talked about Catholicism. We didn't read the Bible. Catholics really don't read the Bible. The original concept was they shouldn't. It was in another language, and the priests read it and interpret it for you. And I still to this day, in every church I went to as a kid, Catholic church, my mom is watching. Mom, you'll know this. How many times have you seen a Bible in the Catholic Church? How many times? An actual Bible, like the whole thing. How many times? Let's see what she writes. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that you're watching, Mom. So, yeah, as a kid, I was, raised as a little Catholic Italian kid in an Italian Catholic family. And we had varying degrees of how religious people were. See, she just wrote it. Never. There's no Bible. It's not. It's what Bible? Just listen to do what you're told. Go to confession. You don't need to know the Bible. Just show up to mass. Yeah, I as a little kid, I was raised like most little Italian kids in a small town. We went to grandma's. We went to church on Sunday. Actually, Mom, you didn't go to church. You quit going a long time ago. And but my dad went, and all the grandparents went, and then you went to grandma's house for Italian Sunday dinner, where there was a lot of food. We did that every week. So at a certain age, if you're a Catholic, you get to that first communion bit, and you go to Sunday school. Well, I got to skip that. And here's why. My aunt, my mother's sister, she was like, I'm going to teach you that part. I'm going to be your CCD teacher at the house, so you don't have to go. So I could just go hang out with her on the weekends, and I guess she would sign the papers for my first communion, or whatever it was. I don't even know if she signed papers. So I remember she had a little booklet, and she read it, and whatever. I went through the motions, and I got First Holy Communion, and I think she gave it to me. But let's rewind that. I actually had my First Holy Communion when I wasn't supposed to. Fran, you'll remember this, my mama. I was in a wedding when I was really little, and I didn't have the First Holy Communion stamp yet. I didn't have the white belt. So, I'm in the wedding party, and I'm this little guy, and the priest guy's going around giving out the communion, and I went, and I just ate one without being ready for it, I guess. My aunt taught me, and then I remember, this is what I remember. You're going to love this. And Fran, I don't know if you remember this story. It's a little gray. Somebody recently sent me moral flaws. Yes, Ashworth, yes. That's what I'm doing, and that's what Friday's about too. I remember this story my aunt would tell me, and this had nothing to do with First Holy Communion. It was Catholic voodoo stuff. But she told me that there was a nun on display somewhere. Now, somebody just pointed out that in Pittsburgh, there's a church that basically has a relic collection, and they used to have a nun on display. Now, I don't know if this is the same nun, but here's what she told me. She said this dead nun, this mummy nun, every now and then would stand up, and they would say, "Sit down, sister," and the mummy would sit. And I remember my aunt literally using those words. That scared the hell out of me. I was like, what? There's like a zombie in the church, and it literally stands up. And I've also had grandparents that have photographs on the wall of crying statues. Okay, so there is that element of it all. Peter Benedetti, one of my favorite artists on earth, says, yeah, Italians love Catholicism, even if they don't know much about it. Look, the mafia likes it too. The mob are very Catholic, a lot of them. It's got, I get the incense, pomp, and circumstance of it all, and the pageantry, and the costuming, and of course, when I was little, my favorite part, it was the incense censer. I mean, that was, my favorite part was the incense censer, getting the cookie, the cracker. I thought that was fun. And I also liked, looking up words in the missalettes that had double meanings that might be dirty and showing them to some of the kids that I knew in the church. That's what I would do. And try not to sleep. So then I got that done, and it was around, after First Holy Communion, I do remember going to CCD. Now, I'm going to guess I was probably in the first, second, third grade age. And this is when I really started to ask questions. I really did. I started to question what is good and what is evil. I really did. And I wrote some notes here today because it really started to like bother me because I really realized evil or bad, right? At an early age, I kind of knew it was, in my opinion, not very objective. It was very like, it depends. Now, it sounds kind of weird to say that, but I always thought as a kid that anybody who's a, quote, bad guy, they themselves never thought they were bad. I noticed that at an early age. Now, we can all say, hey, that guy's doing stuff that causes harm and is destructive. But I always knew at an early age that if I was in his shoes, he might have a whole other story that's very different than my reality or my values. I knew that. And I remember asking the question, what if God's right and the devil's wrong? Like, we don't know. How do we know God's moral is objective? Even God's. How? We don't. Someone just put out, oh wow, this is juicy. See, these are the subjects that make real juice on this show. There's so many things going on in my chat that I can't keep in here. I'm trying to do both. It's wonderful. Please read the texts or the chats. I also remember at an early age asking questions in Sunday school. And I clearly remember 2 different Sunday school teachers at St. Rosa Lima Catholic Church in my hometown. And one of them was William, big one, William. I'm going to mention William. One of them was it was a Filipino lady, and the other one was like an old white guy, big tall white guy. I remember them very clearly. William says, traditions can turn into bad things if not critically re-examined from time to time. So check this out. Richard Dawkins, the atheist biologist guy, he's an evolutionary biologist. He always said, he wrote his daughter a letter telling her to question these things. If he would die, just do this. To be in this world, always question authority, revelations, and you ready for this? Traditions. That's it. Because sometimes traditions are bad, and you just roll with them. There's a really, really good debate between Christopher Hitchens, Dawkins said that, not Hitchens. Hitchens had a debate with a rabbi, and they were debating circumcision. And Hitchens, the hitch, his hitch slap, as they call it, the whoosh, to the rabbi was this. He mentioned circumcision. The rabbi then made a joke, being a good rabbi, because it's good to have a little humor. He said, "Oh, please, you're bringing up circumcision." He's like, my son cried at his first haircut more than his circumcision. And the audience laughed. It's a funny joke. And Hitchens said, the fact that you're laughing right now proves my point. And he looked at the rabbi and he's like, what if I told you, what if you substituted that with when they cut my daughter's clitoris off instead of the circumcision? Would you have all laughed? And the audience was like, whoa. And he's like, just asking a question, what would happen? So, yeah. At an early age, I knew something was up. I really did. I remember another time, I remember asking questions to the Filipino lady and her not answering them and just being like, no, just sit down. And I'd be like, but what about this? And she'd be like, no, just, she didn't know. I knew then she didn't know. She was just following a book. Now, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just following a book, and she's teaching me something that's shaping my life and teaching me a moral code, a philosophy in which to run my whole life. I'm a little confused here. Isn't that a pretty important job? Wouldn't you hire somebody qualified to do that, or somebody that can answer questions? The answer is no. So I remember asking if Adam and Eve... So at that age, I already knew Adam and Eve wasn't real. Like, it was an allegory. It was... Well, okay, so there's a lot of people saying there's a lot of beautiful things about church, art, music, and community. But my question is, do you need church to get that? Do you need... What does believing in a deity give you over somebody who doesn't? What can they say? And this is Hitchens' question. He's like, what phrase can they say that I can't... Like, what's the difference? Why do you need that to make that? You could say that the beautiful art that came from the church came from the fact that they were stealing everything and raping and pillaging to have enough money to pay for the fancy stuff to be accomplished. So it would be like saying, wow, the city has the most beautiful architecture. Meanwhile, it was they had to have slaves to build those buildings. It's a little weird. It's like, yeah, is it cool? I don't know. Does it need... It's like, do you need to spend $8 billion to make a cool movie? Or can you do the same kind of a cool thing with a very low budget? Yeah, I've never been to the Vatican, but I'm sure, yeah, there's some shockingly gorgeous things, but gorgeous is a relative term. And I don't think I would like it very much to know the behind. I mean, I would like it for certain historical things, but it's a weird scene. A lot of stuff is stolen. A lot. So, I remember thinking about some stories in the Bible that were famous that I knew weren't real, like Adam and Eve. So I was like, okay, Adam and Eve's not real. Noah's Ark's not real. Is the Abraham story real? Moses is real, right? Yeah, oh yeah, that's real. Jesus? Real. Jonah and the whale? Not real. Jesus making all the possessed ghosts go into the pigs and then making the pigs jump off the cliff? Not real. What others? The bears eating the bald guy? The children? There's so many stories where... Okay, Peter says the art's incredible. I'm sure when you see the paintings up close and the Sistine Chapel stuff, it's shocking. But to me, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So I remember thinking that the story that's not real was Adam and Eve. In that story alone, there's a problem. And I remember asking this. So the tree of knowledge, the apple tree, whatever, don't eat the fruit. You're allowed to do whatever you want. God gave us free will. Don't eat the apple. And then the snake. Now, I don't know if you've ever read the Bible. I've read it multiple times. It doesn't say what the snake is, the serpent. It doesn't say that it's the devil. There's another thing later in the Bible that refers to some dude who's aligned with the devil. There's a little thing later that they point at, but basically, Peter, that's funny. Basically, it doesn't say. It also, people don't realize the devil in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in Hebrews, Satan, H-A, Satan, the accuser. It's not a name, it's like a job title. So even if it is Satan, he's working for somebody. It's not like he's there. So I, as a kid, did not interpret it as the devil. I interpreted it as God messing with Adam and Eve. And when I asked the teacher if that's what it was, I got shut down quick because they didn't have an answer. They never thought of it. Is the real... I guarantee you the person that I asked never, ever once even questioned it. And when I felt the feeling of being cut off, I knew it was bullshit. Straight off. Done. removed. I was like, I'm being lied to by this lady, and then I'm being lied to by everybody that I'm around. Wow. And to me, that made me go a little nutty. I mean, it definitely wasn't an easy feeling right away, but it did give me a weird, like, okay, I can't really tell anybody these things. So it made me kind of go inside myself a bit and made me who I am. I remember being forced to go. I mean, I had to go do this for a certain period of time. First communion on through. I forget all the sacraments you have to do. Confirmation was the big one. Test everything and believe nothing. I love the chat tonight. This is beautiful. So many good things. I've heard of people going to the Vatican with sneaking in a jar of urine and pouring it in there. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to get into it, but I have a few relatives in my family that have had problems with the church in a very inappropriate manner. And it's very real. It is systemic. And there was if you want to look up something really interesting, sorry, Catholics, I hate to do this to you, but this was in the newspaper not that long ago. The Catholics have a number. They have a magic number. If you go to them and say something bad happened to your kid or anybody, they immediately offer you $50,000 to sign. And they buy you out quick. I'm very curious at how many times they've had to do that. I think it's a lot. It's shocking that that's what they do. It's also shocking that people that know about this still give them money or put $1 in the basket, or I can't. I just can't. Oh, that's what you do? Catholic lawsuit settlements. It's out of control. If any other group on earth did this, they would be gone in a day. If, I don't know, what's a good famous... Let's say the Boy Scouts... Now, people say the Boy Scouts have problems, but let's just say they had the amount of accusations for as long as the Catholic Church does. They would be gone in a day. Boop, gone. And my personal opinion is this. It will only stop when they admit, the Catholics, when they admit they don't have magic powers. Meaning, I was told as a little kid, priests are different than normal people. Now, being a wizard of sorts myself, I do agree that the wizard types are different. And if you fall into the witch, warlock, wizard, occultist category, and you're the real deal, you are different. You do look at the world from a third side point of view, and you removed yourself. But most people I see in the priesthood aren't that at all. Not at all, because they didn't come to it the same way witches and warlocks and shaman come to these things. They had a very different angle of approach. So, yeah. I mean, it's out of control. You can also look up ex-nun stories and look up the nuns that are cloistered. The ones that get, like, taken, they voluntarily actually, stop talking. They do the vow of silence. The ones that are cloistered and away, or they do the vow of silence, they have a lot of abuse. There's a lot of abuse. Now, one of the things I want to point out, too, I think a lot of the world problems, like the police problem, like the Catholic problem, it's not just like, the cops are racist, or the Catholics tend to I don't know, take advantage of people sexually. I think the jobs attract certain types. To me, that's a big problem that no one talks about. Who's attracted to being a cop? I haven't heard that once during this whole we hate cops thing. I didn't take a side on that one because it's too complex and there's a lot of little details. And one of the big details that I didn't hear talked about is what types of jobs attract what types of people. Who wants to be I never once in my life wanted to be a police officer. Even it just never crossed my mind. It's the opposite, actually. So to me, it's like, now there are the people that are like, hey, I want to do good. And then the ones that are like, hey, if I become a cop, I get lots of free stuff, or I get to do that. There's certain types that like to do it. I always thought the people that like to become cops are the types that either A, were bullied, or B, were the bully. It's the time when they become friends. The guy that got picked on, his partner is the guy who used to pick on him, and now they're best friends. Talk about toxic. Now, that can be fixed with training and proper selection and weeding out the boneheads. I think the FBI and those types, they have pretty good ways of weeding out those types. They are looking for people. This is the other thing I want to mention about that. If you're going for certain jobs, like a job where you're going to go from normal to insanity in 1 second, don't you think they should test them to see what type of, how their brain works? Meaning, do they live in their lizard brain and early mammal brain? Meaning everything's emotional. You can clearly see it. If a cop says, stand there, and you go, I don't have to do that. And then you're like, okay, that guy did not process what I said. He just reacted to what I said. Shouldn't they be weeded out of the police force like that? Just saying. Same thing with the priesthood. How many people want to become a priest? Well, barely anybody these days. The seminaries are empty. But in the old days, who would want to do that? Who? Who wants to give up everything, especially your love life, to go live like that? I always thought it might be people that did feel a little different, maybe sexually, and don't want to deal with it. Or they were told it was wrong, or they were picked on because of it, or, you know, they might be gay and they're in a world where they can't, that's not cool. So what do? You don't deal with it. You go over here, you don't have to deal with it. You pray, you celebrate, it's cool. Guess what? It's not according to your nature. It's going to cause a problem. So even as a little kid, it was so clear. And no matter what, and no matter how people tried, I honestly couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm going to save a lot more of the details of this for Friday. But yeah, and let me just check one thing here. Yeah, what is good? I also noticed at an early age that a lot of the cool stories I thought in the Bible weren't really in there. Like I was always looking up well, not gay. I'm saying yes, true, yes. But I think some people, yeah, but sometimes people are gay and yeah, so then they would be with the other priests, right? Yeah, the pedophile thing is definitely its own unique strangeness. And from what I gather, it's way more common than people would like to admit. Way more common. I mean, we hear about it a lot. It's like, wow. Yeah, the priesthood thing, it's shocking and sad. Yeah, it's not a gay thing. It's a taking advantage of minors thing. And not only that, in my family situation, it wasn't with a male priest and a young boy. It was with a male priest and a girl. So that happens too, obviously. I think that happened a lot in the old days too. I think some of the priests actually had families secretly and stuff in the old days. But it's not healthy. That's what I know. And when I look at how it's being dealt with now, after the fact that we know all of these awful things, I don't see it getting addressed how I'm just plainly talking now. Partly, you get the bigot point finger quick. Bigot, or as the Scientologists do, you're a religious bigot. They use that word a lot. And I don't like that because religion to me is fair game. It's fair game. If you criticize Judaism, there's a word for that. They'll call you an anti-Semite. If you criticize Islam, you'll get the bigot card. They don't have a word. Islamophobe is the word. I would say I'm a Christian phobe and an Islamophobe and a Judaism phobe, only in the sense that their core belief, down to its minute core, I'm a little afraid of. I'm not afraid of it. I disagree with its teaching. I don't think it's healthy. I've always been, and I think I should be allowed not only to say it, but it's open game. It's a philosophical criticism. It has nothing to do with someone's hair, style, or skin color, or even the outfits they're wearing, because I certainly wear some funny outfits myself. So it's about, yes, and culture. Okay, so good point. Dallas Marshall says culture and religion. I always ask that to people. I'll say, is it okay to criticize someone's culture? Nowadays, most people will say no. I think it's okay. There are certain cultural norms in the world that I can clearly say I don't like them. I think they're bad. Really bad. And I just, yeah, they completely, if your culture doesn't allow for free speech at all, if that's your value and what your culture teaches, you can go over there, far away from me, because I think that's dark doom and gloom. So I do think, yes, I think culture and religion are open for criticism, a harsh criticism too. And if they don't like it, get the pen and pencil out, start talking and writing. Let's hear, convince. So, and it's just, it doesn't happen, which proves, it's kind of proof in some ways. Yeah, Skydad. Well, that's it. Whenever I hear people say, yes, you should be allowed to criticize Dom, yeah, that's right. Exactly. I agree. And William brings up the word, I love the word Sky Daddy, because when people say God, some people, I have friends that their concept of God is I could agree with, and I consider myself an atheist. So their concept of God, whenever you're like, it's everything. It's the whole, like, great, you know. That to me is not what I'm talking. I'm talking about deities and conscious beings creating and doing and moving and playing favorites or not playing favorites, or in the Bible situation, they're real estate agents. Can you believe it? Dallas says, North Korean culture is highly oppressive, and I criticize it all the time. And you should. People don't realize North Korea is the world's only necrocracy. Anybody know who the president of North Korea is? It's not Kim Jong-un. It's the dead granddad. Look it up. It's the world's only necrocracy. They have a dead guy as the king, as the boss. And they go into a little room and meditate. They get the answers, and then they come out with the answers. Sound familiar? Sound like Moses? Sound like Joseph Smith? Sound like all of the above? It's the same story. North Korea is funny because Christopher Hitchens, and this is what I was going to end on tonight. He always said, and this is one of the things I noticed as a little kid, which I guess I was a little philosopher. I realized in the Bible, and I remember asking this to my family. There it is. Eternal President Kim Sung. Yeah. I noticed at an early age, and I remember asking my Sunday school teachers, God knows everything, right? It's like, yep. So he knows what's in my heart. Yes. They would say yes. And he knows what's going to happen too, right? Yes, he's omniscient, he's omnipotent, he's everything. I thought, then he knew what was going to happen. Why did he set it up as such? I thought that up at an early age. And whenever you ask such questions, the catch answer is, who are we to know what God's plan really is? I mean, he's the boss. We just do what he says and know that he's good. And they like that word good because God is good. That's what they always say. God is good. God is great. God is good. No matter what, even if something bad happens, he's good. Now, it's funny because when bad things happen, I noticed too at an early age that the story would change. Someone would die and somebody that would die, that was somebody beloved, and it would be like, God only takes the good. And then somebody would die that wasn't so cool, and they'd be like, see, they got what they deserved, and they're going to burn in hell now. Like, they got killed early. It's such a loose logic. Again, at an early age, I noticed this. I was like, wait, what? Why do people change? How come when bad things happen, they'll blame the devil? They never blame God when bad things happen. Like when a tornado would come crashing through, or they'd be like, see, God's punishing you. That's what the crazy religious would say when I was a kid. I never remember Catholics saying such things. Like, well, bad things happen in New York because they have, lots of sinners. I never heard that from the Catholics as much. It's more of a fire and brimstone Protestant kind of a thing. At least that's what I saw. And in where I grew up, we had a lot of Catholics, but we also had a lot of Protestants, and we did have, some of the fire and brimstone type churches. And I had friends that went to them. And I've been to some of them. One of my good friends he might even be in here watching. He went to one and still does. I just never, ever once. And that, it's like one of those, they would say, open your heart and he'll come in. And I did. Believe me, I wanted it to all be real at some points in my life. Like, wow, wouldn't this be great? I get to see everybody again if this is real. All my relatives, if I follow the rules. Like, at some point, I eventually realized that was not going to happen. And I realized that if God was... I came to the conclusion of what is known as the problem of evil at an early age without even knowing what that was. And the problem of evil is, if God is all powerful, why does the evil stuff happen? Why does he let it through? And if he does, he's not all good, right? And if he is good and these bad things happen and he can't stop it, then he's not all powerful. So which is it? Now, again, the crazy religious types that believe it with all their heart that God really is good no matter what, that's what they'll say. Who are we to know the morality of God? We can't. We just have to assume it's good. So when the tornado blows over the town, it's like we assume it's supposed to be that way. You could take the God out of it and just make it, so Rick Sherman says, because he loves us, he gave us choice. Well, my new trip has been free will and the illusion of such. And the more I look at it, the more my awakening of realizing that there wasn't a sky daddy, I've been having an awakening that there's no free will either. And it hurts a little to know this. But then I realized there's a way to hack it. There's a way to hack fate. I don't like the word fate because it sounds like someone else made the plan and they're just sending it out. Hate it. Don't like that. No free will, I like just saying that better. Because we don't know where it's all going. There's these billion things that have happened that are going to dictate what's happening here. And it just happens. And so there's a way to hack that. Just like the weatherman can go, okay, we know this, and this, and if we know those things, that's probably going to end up over there. That's what the weather's going to do. And they get it right enough that they're like, whoa, that's it. That works. We did predict it. Imagine being able to do that on a bigger scale with your personal life. And then being able to frame it how you want to visualize. Even though it's the same outcome, you have a new framework in which you can put over top of it. Now, again, the frame that you choose to frame it on also is decided by something else. At least you can pretend like free will is real. We've evolved maybe to believe that free will is real. Rick Sherman says, amor fati. Very good quote. It's a really good way to end tonight. Amor fati, for those of you that don't know what it means love your fate. No matter what. It's the stoic thing of accepting it because it is happening and you can't do anything about it now, and using it to your advantage to learn. That's amor fati. You say, this is bad, I can take it. I am prepared, I can take it. I'm learning, and I can take more. Come on, bring it on, bring it on. That's amor fati. And I really think it's a healthy way to look at things. Yeah. Yeah, look at how many versions of the Holy Bible there are. Whew. Wow. I take this upon you, a little bit of a homework. Pick your favorite Bible verse, put it into computer, and look up any Bible verse and look at the differences between the translations. You will see a lot. There's a lot of differences. Yeah. Now, over here, I wrote down confirmation. I eventually got confirmed Catholic, but the rule was, and my dad told me, once you're confirmed, you can quit. So I waited about, I don't know, a week or two, and we went to a Mexican restaurant, and I told him I wasn't going anymore. I didn't believe. And that was it. Dunzo. I only go for funerals and weddings. Out of respect, obviously. But I still don't enjoy it. I don't like what they're saying. I don't like it. Baptisms too. I don't go to baptisms. If I have family members that have children, I don't go to the baptisms. I find that to be a really awful ceremony. You're basically saying the child's born unclean. It's the oldest trick in the world. You're sick and we got the cure, and you got to come to us to get it. You can't get it from those guys. That's an old scam. Comparative religion is awesome. It's been my hobby. I've been studying religion and apologetics to religion, meaning I study it, how it moves, and then how people juggle the things, because there's a lot to juggle. Yeah, I love it. I've basically been studying different elements of the Abrahamic religions for the last 25, 30 years. Even longer than that. Yeah, I don't blame you, Peter. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Just in Pennsylvania, Northeast PA alone, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It's really bad. And that's just there. We haven't even gotten to South America yet, East Europe, Russia. They're being quiet over there. Why? Because they're better at keeping it quiet. South America, I'm sure it's terrible. I know the Catholics are losing business. It's one of the reasons why they picked a pope from South America. In South America, they are losing Catholics to the mega churches, to the charismatic Protestant guys. The Catholics is like putting on an old record. You know, it's like, oh, I got this old record. Now, they're going to have to change their game up a bit. Let's see here. Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, you're good for you. The Kingdom Hall, I've never been in. Do you have to be a member to even go in? I think you do. I don't know. That's the one I know a little bit about it, but not the big details. Dude, Friday is going to be awesome. If you're new on this channel, hit subscribe. We're going to wrap this up. Subscribe and notify. Friday night, we're going to do a show. It's called Warlord Moses. And I'm going to be examining Old Testament Torah stories, the Bible stories of the Torah, of the Old Testament in the Bible, the famous ones. We're going to look at Moses. We're going to look at the Moses story. We're going to look at the genocide in the Bible. We're going to look at the Abraham story in the Bible. And we're going to talk about slavery in the Bible. I've never publicly done one of these, and I hear a lot of people that have opinions on it that don't know what they're talking about. So I like to jump in here and say, hey, I'm going to fill in some holes here, because I've been told that, the slavery in the Bible is very different than modern slavery. It wasn't as bad back then. Yes, I will. Well, the Torah, people won't, I like calling it the Torah, not the Old Testament, because When you call it the Old Testament, people just think you're just criticizing the Christians. And I'm not. I'm criticizing Judaism and Christianity. So I'll call it the Torah. The Talmud has some messed up stuff too. Oh, yeah. Now, I've never read the Talmud. I think it's massive. I've read pieces of it. So I really think you guys are going to have fun. It's definitely going to be controversial. If I'm saying something that's wrong or I'm in left field and crazy, point me in the right direction. I'm that guy. I'll go look. You show me something to go read that'll convince me of something I'm missing, point me. I'm going to look right now. That's who I am. I want to make sure I'm sharing things that are as true as they possibly can be. I'm one of those persons that I don't think we'll ever know the truth of anything. We have facts, and we all know facts aren't the real truth. So it's all about how close you can get to the real truth. And that's what I'm just doing. So I love examining old stories and the apologetics behind why people believe them. Yep. William, you and me both. I like controversial subjects, especially history and philosophy and religion. Without us talking about it and sharing, we will never grow. That's just the way it is. That to me is what's wrong. People aren't chatting. People get too offended in a hissy fit and run out the door quick. We have to be, we have to talk. That's what we're doing. And I'm having fun. I love debating. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm learning. If you prove me wrong, that's great. Because that means I just learned something cool. That's the whole thing about evolution. If you can prove that evolution's wrong, you win the Nobel Prize in Science. Proving science wrong is good. It means you just did something major. So that's who I am, and I'm glad I have an audience that likes that and pushes the buttons and has something to say. So I thank you, and we got a big crowd. Everybody, if anybody's in here new, hit that subscribe button. Hit the notify. If you're the type to, hey, someone just hit the donation. Matt Lyon, grazie. Thank you. All of these $10, $20 coming in, they all goes into my kiddie pool of gear. And I'm getting a camera soon. Hopefully I'll get a camera in the next week or two. That's the goal. Wow. Thank you, everybody. I had a really good time tonight. These are my favorite kind of episodes where I can just, and the chat's going and I'm going. Not a lot of props. I basically, it wasn't a prop heavy show. As you can see, I like props. But some of these are just talking. Thank you, Sean and Matt Lyon and William and Amanda and Jason. And who else is in here? We got a lot of people. Rick, Peter Benedetti, Voider Shark. I know you're in here. Ashworth, Dallas. Gosh, we got a really good group in here. Jason. Fran, my mama, if you're still in here. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Anybody in here I can't see. I don't have my glasses. Sean. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to go off. I'm going to finish my tea I made tonight. One of my favorite things, if you're sick, my little secret recipe. And I'm not sick, but it's good health. I take a piece of ginger, a big piece, and I shave a bunch in a cup. I take a lemon, and in this big cup, I squeeze both halves in. I take a knife, I cut the pulp, I put it in. I add honey and hot water. Delicious. All vitamins, a little honey, ginger. It's a great homemade tea. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you Friday night. I'm going to run the trailer for Behind the Devil's Curtain. Party on, Wayne. And be safe out there and keep using the noodle. Look up stuff, and I'll see you later.